Hey, mate.
Hey, mate.
Just going to give you a little
What's
something.
this?
Well, you know, we've known each other for a long time, so...
Oh, is this finally happening?
Yeah.
I'm married to you, or am I married to the content?
Both the exact same thing.
I agree.
Yeah.
Package deal.
Oh.
Deluxe.
I'm going to keep this on for the whole thing.
Hi, these chatties are really difficult for me. Members, why did you vote for this one? I find it really hard because I love video games. Video games are great. The industry, yes, I mean, no one is perfect. They do their best, but there's just nothing that really bothers me. Really, I can't really think of anything. I'm sitting here just like, nah, I'm good. I'm good.
Are you good, though?
Yeah.
Are you good, Rage?
Pretty good.
How good are you, though? Think about it.
Maybe 95%.
What's that 5%, mate?
There's, I guess, entitlement in gamers, I guess, is a problem because I'm feeling pretty entitled when it comes to things like the Switch, where I had this Wii U, me and 3 other people bought one, and we enjoyed all these like lovely classic games on the eStore, and we're not getting that on the Switch. But I should get that on the Switch. I feel entitled to it. I deserve it. And that's bad. Because it's curbing my happiness and it's stopping me being happy with all these great, you know, exclusive Switch games that we are getting. But because I can't play Pokemon Snap for the 5th time, I feel entitled and I feel salty. So that's bad, I guess.
What I hate, right, I don't even know when this happened, but somehow overnight we became, like, people just accepted that we pay for costumes in video games, like alternate costumes. Back in the day when I used to play my favorite superhero games, costumes were like the bread and butter of the replay value, like Spider-Man 1, Spider-Man 2, Enter Electro, which is an underrated game, by the way, on the PlayStation 1, had so many alternate costumes, and that was how I sort of fell in love with Spider-Man. Like, it was a means to enjoy these characters in a different way, in a free way, because it unlocked different bios, it unlocked different sort of abilities that I didn't even know Spider-Man had. And then publishers just started making you pay for these extra costumes, like Batman Arkham City. I remember that was the real sort of thing that broke the camel's back or whatever, because I remember that coming out and it had pre-order bonuses where you got a bunch.
Give pre-order bonuses.
All these pre-order bonuses where you got sick costumes like Batman Beyond. I wanted to play as Batman Beyond, but as a broke teenager, I couldn't afford this extra fancy stuff. I could barely afford the game, which was frustrating.
Catwoman, though.
Well, that was different because he didn't actually. Okay, here's the thing. I pre-ordered it to get Robin, and Catwoman came because I bought it free. But that was fine. Robin's better because that's not a different skin. You expected these things to be free at that point. This is what alternate costumes are standing in as a larger problem for. The fact that things that we used to accept as just being normal and being in games, we now have to pay for, or are locked behind sort of loot boxes. Why are costumes sort of behind loot boxes and behind purchasable, like, real money things now? It doesn't make any sense to me. Everyone is a slave to their own nostalgia. And when I think of video games, I think of these delicious things that sort of defined what gaming was, and now it's all being split up and nickeled and dimed to me at an alarming rate, and I just want to play as Batman Beyond, and I don't have to pay an extra $5 for it because I've already paid the game and I'm really enjoying it. I'll buy other things. I'll buy Robin. I'll buy Nightwing. Those are distinct characters that would not be able to be made if I didn't pay for them. A new costume, though, takes like a lot of work probably, but also work that, you know, is appreciated, and Spider-Man did it fine, and now I'm gonna have to pay for a load of different costumes in the Avengers. What's that about? Just look at Spider-Man. Spider-Man had like 40 costumes, and they were all delicious.
Preach me!
What I'm saying is, Spider-Man's really good, so are costumes, and I just want to play as the black suit Spider-Man, and I don't have to pay £10 for it!
I hate a lot of things. Climate change, income inequality, when people tear tea bags out and they rip the corners in and all the tea spills out, and then you get a cup of tea and you got tea leaves. Yeah, exactly. When it comes to video games, I think I do dislike a lot of things. Like you mentioned, costumes. Like why do we have to pay for them anymore? That's just a big load of bollocks. But I think in general, I just hate online toxicity in gaming. And it's not just exclusive to gaming. Every single vestige of geek culture has it. It comes with comics, comes with films, comes with everywhere. But gaming is just it kind of infects into online spaces, and because so many games these days are multiplayer, you end up encountering it much more regularly. And but this particular instance of toxicity that I encountered when I came to university for the first time was in real life, and there was a video game society I went to, and they had like a big introductory event where it was like, we're going to do a big Smash Brothers tournament where we all play Smash Brothers, and then we'll give free prizes to people who win, whatever. And I was like, oh, I've only played that a few times before, and I was really bad at it, but I'm sure I'll get to meet new people, because, you know, when you come to uni and you're just a dork, and you're like, what do I do? And then you're like, oh, maybe there are other dorks here that I can co-dork mingle with. So I did that. And I got paired with this random guy who must have been in his third year, and like, just like, when you take one look and you're just like, oh god, he's gonna take this really seriously, isn't he? And then we played. I got my ass kicked. I didn't really care though. But all throughout the fight, he was like, yeah, take that, noob. Haha, get wrecked, bitch. And I'm just there like, what? And then when it was done, he like walked away, put the controller in his chair, and went, boosh, like that. And I was just like, are you okay, mate? There are just some people in every hobby who are just absolute, just catastrophic fucking dickheads, and like just everywhere. Okay, just get all the fucking little bleeps in there, Rich, because toxicity, love gaming. There we go.
Beautiful.
I'll keep it short. Pay to win is absolutely horrible. Like nowadays, RuneScape 3, for example, you can level up your character to max 99s in about like 45 days, and it costs about like £13,000 just to do it. It's ridiculous.
What?
Yep, you heard that right.
What?
Stuff like Diablo Immortal as well, like when they are on stage and they're like, do you guys not have phones? And like everyone has a phone, exactly, but everyone knows exactly how a mobile game works. You play it and it's free to play, but then you play it for about like 10 minutes and they're like, you've got to pay £3.99 to continue, or you've got to wait like 24 hours to get to the next level. And that's just like anti-gaming, basically. You're not playing at all, you're just paying to play. The other thing is early access. Now, I absolutely love early access games like Eco I've talked about a few weeks ago, House Flipper I talked about 2 weeks ago, and then there's another game called Distance, which I will talk about later on. But there's also another game called Satisfactory, which Rich has talked about quite a lot of. It was basically released it was revealed in E3 last year, and it looked like a bloody amazing game, and I just couldn't wait to play it. This was back in like July. I waited all the way until March this year to play it.
It's a long time.
It is a very long time, because they just wouldn't give me a bloody key for it. Thank you, Jace. They released like a test weekend, and I played it for about 30 hours that entire weekend. It was probably like one of the greatest memories I've got in like single player games. The experience is just great, really. And then it came to actually playing the alpha. And there wasn't anything I really could do about it, because I've already done everything in that weekend that I could do again, and it was brilliant. But the main thing about it is that once you're in that early access period, you're basically playing a broken game, and it's boring for like the last final release, basically. And it's essentially like someone like going to cook you a burger, and they're like, oh, do you want to pay like £15 for this burger? And you're like, well, it's not finished yet, but all right. And then they're like, do you want to have a bite of it? And you're like, well, it's not finished. Okay, I'll take a bite of it and see what it's like. And then you take a bite, and it's just meaty, mushy disgustingness. And you're like, okay, where's the full experience? And they're like, well, it's not done yet, for God's sakes. And then you get to the final release, and you're like, your mouth is just full of meaty crapness, and you're suffering from food poisoning and stuff. And that affects like the full experience of the game.
Burger van, first of all, which burger van wronged you, honestly?
All of them.
Rather than going for something that's like a blanket thing, like, oh, like cosmetic microtransactions or early access games, I love you, Chase, don't listen to Osley. I'm gonna go for a very specific, very focused rant about a little company called Epic Games. Little, yeah. Basically, we all know who they are through Fortnite, and they garnered a lot of money from basically getting kids very much addicted to their game and getting them invested in the cosmetics. I said on a podcast about how they managed to turn, or I say they managed, it wasn't really directly of them, but they're not going to say no about it, making it so that having a non-default Fortnite skin was the thing to be, and you get picked on if you were playing as a default normie character in Fortnite, which obviously pushed kids to paying more money into the game. Obviously, Epic accumulated all these big funds and then thought, you know what? F*** it, let's take on Steam and see how that goes. The PC gaming marketplace ecosystem is a very, very open field. Like, you've got Steam, you've got GOG, you've got the launchers from specific publishers like Bethesda, you've got Activision Blizzard, you've got Ubisoft, and you've got EA. And all of them, they all exist in their own little plane. They're all there for a certain reason. Epic then turned up and said, look at my gigantic testicles. Let's take on the biggest platform on PC that's been established since 2003 and do it in the most arsehole way possible. Looking at E3 this year, looking at the past couple of months in gaming, the industry's starting to open up a bit more. It's starting to become more friendly with each other. This whole like exclusivity of, oh, we hate you as well. You've got Sony and Microsoft and Nintendo all becoming more pally, and it's lovely. It's really great to see. Epic are turning up late to the party going, look at all of our exclusives, look at how much we're shitting on the consumer, and then gone, hang on a minute. Wait, we're not doing this anymore. F it, we'll do it anyway. It's like the scene in Whacking Day in The Simpsons when after they decide to, after Lisa and Barry White manage to convince people that hitting snakes is wrong, and Mayor Quimby turns up late, stands by his car and goes, hey everyone, 12 dead snakes, and everyone boos him thinking that was the right thing to do. That's basically what Epic are doing. And their approach of getting the PC consumer to be where they want them to be is the most anti-consumer thing you could possibly do. And it's just as bad for publishers to be happily taking this, not dirty money, but this is money that's been pulled out of kids' pockets to get their games onto that store. It's happened with crowd-funded games. You've got Shenmue 3, you've got Outer Wilds, you've got Phoenix Point. They were all crowd-funded by people, and then they turned around and went, okay, we've just accepted God knows how much money off Epic, we're gonna go exclusive to Epic. So basically completely putting aside this money that people have put in to support this game. We've had things like Metro Exodus get pulled from Steam as soon as it was about to release. We've had Rocket League that's about to disappear from Steam later this year. The store itself is a complete shambles. It doesn't do everything it should do. So the fact that Epic is saying, hey, you should come here, come and be on our store, and yet they don't do half the things that Steam does. And they expect us to just go with it. There's a reason why PC players have been so pissed off about this store for such a long time. And, console players don't really understand this because they don't have that problem. They don't have another store sitting on their dashboard. It's not like you can log onto the PlayStation Store and then log on to the Epic PlayStation Store, which only has a third of the features, if that, but they still expect you to be getting games from them. Their approach to trying to get the monopoly over the industry is the most anti-consumer thing they could possibly do, and it's making publishers look bad, it's making devs look bad, and their devs are getting shit for stuff their publishers are doing. Hence why, who was it that published Metro? Is it Deep Silver?
Yes.
Hence why 4A Games are getting so much shit from fans, even though it wasn't their decision. It was like Obsidian with Outer Worlds, that's going onto Epic as well, thank you. Private Division have signed a thing with Epic, and Obsidian had nothing to do with it, and they were just getting shit on for it. Same kind of with Gearbox and 2K, with them selling off to Epic as well. The whole PC industry is a complete shambles right now. Everything else is on one side and Epic is on the other, and Epic is saying, F all of them, come to us. But they're not giving us anything for it.
Feel better?
No.
Do you feel like you've let out some of that?
I have let out some of that steam.
Hey! It's hard to pin this down because it's basically the rampant escalation of the gaming industry, and obviously the fact that it's more mainstream than ever now means the budgets are just bigger than they've ever been before, and which also means that on the publisher side they take way less creative risks. And just for me it's when you compare the state of the industry to what it was like across the 2000s. You just had a greater variety of games and genres and game mechanics and everything else. Just a bigger showcase of innovation for the medium than I think is here this generation or for the last since 2010 or whatever. And it's just that. It was that initial sort of wave of people who hated indie games. I get it that there was a million different pixel platformers every single week. But it was you sort of look to what they're trying to do. Okay, if they just wrote 2D platformers where you have a jump button and a sprint button, fine. But some of the best games and most unique games, like even this year's Katana Zero or whatever, have really cool game mechanics in them that you wouldn't find in AAA games, and they're so worth checking out. Like My Friend Pedro will be out by the time you watch this, and that seems like a really sweet game too. And so it's if you fell in love with video games, it's probably because you like the variety of innovation and variety of mechanics that's on offer, and that's the thing that I think the AAA industry has moved away from. Ubisoft haven't come up with a unique game mechanic since 2007, but obviously as they moved away from it, they need to guarantee they can get their return on the investment in the first place. So we get streamlined fare where every first-person shooter plays the same. Everything, card games, or the fact that all the Assassin's Creeds pretty much feel the same. And it's that lack of variety. It's that lack of putting the money elsewhere and prioritizing innovation and variety, which I see in the indie space, and I sometimes see with Ubisoft's art teams, Valiant Hearts and Child of Light, or I see with EA's originals like A Way Out or Unravel or whatever. But I want that on the biggest scale scale possible. You have so much money and you have the eyes of the world. Why are you not putting it into the best creatives and the best game mechanics and just prioritize innovation rather than investment, recouping? Woo! Thanks.
I love you, mate. Marry me.
Oh, cheers, mate. I'm already taken, but I'll take 2.
Married.
Yeah. Content.
You must hate something about the gaming industry.
Well, as it happens, I do. And it's almost everything. It's difficult to know where to start. I could say everything that I'm pretty sure everyone in the room has already mentioned. You know, games as a service, tiered releases, the ineffable crunch that developers are forced to put under as a consequence of the entitlement of gamers. The lack of Monkey Island games in the last 15 years is I suppose we had that Tales Monkey Island, but a real Monkey Island game. However, all of that pales in comparison to what I consider it's a very trivial piece of secondary game industry paraphernalia, which is like it's the insidious use of jargon amongst games journalists.
You keep looking at me for this, Ben.
You're part of the problem, Scott.
I know.
I've tried to. Yeah, I call it jargon, but it might more accurately be called bollocks, which is words like, for example, campaign, which has become like ubiquitously used to describe single player modes, which is perfectly fine in like Medal of Honor or Call of Duty or war-based games, you know, or I don't know, Caesar, Total War, actually going on campaigns. But like Mario Tennis, the campaign mode of Mario Tennis, you don't go on a campaign to win the French Open, you just enter and win it. Like, it's ridiculous. Yoshi's Story's campaign. Imagine Yoshi preparing for a campaign. It's ludicrous. We've got other words like law, like, yeah, that's fantastic in high fantasy, the law of the Elder Scrolls or the law of Zelda, but the law of Dr. Kashiwagi's brain training. I mean, I don't really understand how that's appropriate in any way, shape or form. And yet I understand it's easy shorthand that everybody like immediately if they know what it means, it saves a lot of time, but it's really, really boring to read. That's my biggest problem with it. I suggest using your imagination to come up with a phrase or a word on a case-by-case basis. So, like, say it's a game based on Homer's Odyssey, you could call it that, you could call it his Odyssey, you could call it his epic. Don't call it his campaign. It's lazy, but like that's reductive in that scenario. Sonic doesn't have a campaign. He has a, I don't know, just use your imagination. Just call it a single player mode.
Call it campaign.
The problem with campaign is that I don't know why it's filtered down from Call of Duty to be applied to every single game. It's stupid.
Well, a few things. Crunch culture is bad for actual people who work in the industry. That's not so good. The one thing that really rustles my jimmies is being called a gamer girl. Come over here and look at down the camera.
How dare you?
No, not a thing.
No,
not
it's
a
not
thing.
okay. It's not. You don't call women who play football or football women.
Yeah. She's got you there.
I'm gonna leave.
But yeah, no, that's not so good. But the worst thing about the gaming industry, the one thing that is pinnacle above all of these things, above what everyone else has said on this Chatty Faces is the Evolve servers have gone offline.
I knew it was going to be Evolve. I knew it was going to be Evolve. Every time with the Evolve. You evolve back into yourself and never mention it again.
Can't play anymore.
Hey everyone, thank you so much for watching. Now, if you want more Chatty Faces, why not watch through the rest of our playlist? But I just want to say a big thank you to the brilliant channel sponsors for voting on this week's Chatty question. And if you want to join the vote, then why not consider hitting the join button and becoming a sponsor today? And we will see you next week. Bye!